So this is going to be the last video I do on this section, and I'm only going to do a couple problems here. There's several problems left, I guess, that I haven't covered, but most of these you're being asked to do something on the graphing calculator. I'm actually going to do a couple of those just to kind of show you what you're supposed to be looking at on that section. But I think you guys can figure out what you're trying to do with the rest of it. Of course, if not, please ask. But I do want to do number 72, just so you understand what you're trying to do here. It says use the trigonometric substitution, which is that, to write the algebraic expression as a trig function of theta. So, it kind of gives it away in the directions, but you're just substituting in for x, whatever they're giving you. So in this case, it's going to be 2 sine of theta, and we're going to square that. We're going to simplify that down as far as we can. So that's 16 minus 4 times 4 sine squared of theta. And then that's going to be 16 minus 16 sine squared of theta. Again, whenever you're seeing a square, you should definitely be thinking of those Pythagorean identities at some point. Now, of course, none of those happen with a 16. So let's take out a 16 inside here, inside this radical. So we factor out a 16. We're left with 1 minus sine squared of theta. And sure enough, that's going to be that first Pythagorean identity. And 1 minus sine squared of theta is going to be the same as cosine squared of theta. And now, since we have one term, right, it's just all a bunch of factors in there, we can take the square root, and the square root of 16 is 4. Square root of cosine squared is cosine. And that's all you got to do on that section there. So I'm going to take a look at 78 and 80 because I think they're important things to talk about. This is number 78. And you're asked to use a graphing utility to solve an equation for theta on the interval from 0 to 2 pi. And so, this is always something that you can do with an equation, right? You can graph the left-hand side and graph the right-hand side and see where they intersect, and that would be the solution. Now, I had to zoom in. I was originally on the interval from 0 to 2 pi, but the graph only intersects in this area, and I wanted to zoom in so that you could see the actual intersection points. So, if you graph it, make sure you play around with the window to see it. And anywhere that these two lines intersect, and the red is cosine of x, okay, and then the blue is this statement here, and it does this weird thing. I had to take a picture of it to use it, so I can't zoom in and out for you. But it actually intersects this whole interval here, okay, and so that would be the solution to this equation. So anytime that theta is at the same time greater than or equal to pi over 2 and less than or equal to 3 pi over 2, we have a solution. So, this is always a good thing to do. Always, I would not know what the negative square root of 1 minus sine squared of x looks like. I'm sure there are people out there that do. I am not one of them. So it's very useful to have a graphing calculator as you move forward and plug things in. If you don't know exactly what they look like, plug it in, take a look at it, and then you're going to learn more as you go. So I am going to take a look at 80 also. Okay, so basically the same explanation. However, we do have a different thing going on here. The green is tangent, and remember that tangent is going up, and then resets down here, and then resets down here. And anywhere these two graphs intersect is the answer. Now remember, we are going from 0 to 2 pi. So we're only looking at this intersection and this intersection. And I guess it is written a little bit differently, because you really should pay attention to whether, what your boundaries really are. And so from 0 to pi over 2, but it doesn't get to pi over 2, right? That's an asymptote there. So, do pay attention to how you're writing things. And also from pi all the way to 3 pi over 2. Okay, but not including 3 pi over 2. And so every theta in those two intervals is a solution to this. Okay, so give everything a try. Please ask if you got a question, and let me know.